Yes, good morning, ladies. Happy Monday. How are you? Welcome to the Wealthy Woman Show. I am your host, Rebecca Barr, aka the Femalepreneur Coach, and I'm excited to be kicking off your Monday with a bit of a bang today. So, how are you? Let me know if you are joining me live in the comments. Morning. How are you? I'm so excited. I think I said last week that I'm so excited that it's the Monday morning because it's one of my favorite days of the week because of the unlimited potential of the abundance that is available to us for the rest of the week. So welcome. Again, let me know if you're joining me live or if you're watching back on the replay in the comments. I always love to go back in afterwards and see, some of your feedback, some of your takeaways, the things that are really landing for you. Because obviously the intention of the show is that these are the conversations that really make the difference and push things forward for us as female founders. So, just to have a little recap though, if you haven't yet had a chance to catch up on some of the other shows, we've been talking a lot around our beliefs about money and how those are formed and how those can ultimately be holding us back from the success that we want. If I asked you right now, would you like more money? Of course you're going to say, yes, please. Yes, thank you very much. But actually, if that was a full body hell yes, and all of your values and your goals were in alignment, you would already have it. So there is some part of you that is holding back unconsciously. Hi. That doesn't actually want it. So the intention of the show is that little by little, every week, we're going to be breaking down this resistance to you being seen, being heard, and being paid. So I'm super excited. So if you haven't watched those, obviously recap, because also I explained last week something that's come up a lot for the women in my mastermind is the importance of acclimatizing to your next level. So if you're going to notice with me, I am a huge personal development junkie. I read so many personal development books. Even now, it's always been, it's why I'm a writer as well and why I have my own book. But reading for me is such a powerful part of your daily practices. Around kind of up-leveling your mindset, really tapping into what's possible. And one of the books that I love is Gay Hendricks, The Big Leap. And it's about how, again, if things get too good, and that isn't what we're used to. We're used to the struggle and the hustle and the grind and the being the underdog and kind of getting things up off the floor from scratch, which typically most female founders are. Like, we are serial entrepreneurs. There's always like some kind of inspiration or idea going around in our heads. Maybe you've had lots of different attempts at launching a business before you've landed on this one that you're currently now in. So if that is the case for you, there will be part of you that is used to that hustle and used to that struggle and will unconsciously be engineering situations or only where that will then happen, or only allowing yourself to get to a point before you start to self-sabotage, lean back, maybe not try so hard, maybe feel a little bit like, nah, it'll be fine, letting things go, So that's something we talked about last week, because obviously, it's one thing to make money. It's also another to like keep hold of that money and continue to build and leverage that money to create true wealth. So you get out of that hustle cycle, feast and famine in your business, looking for the next client. So let me know if you have had a chance to catch up on any of those, because I know that was very timely. So I wanted to share with you actually something that kind of fits in very nicely what I'm going to be talking about today, was something that I did at the weekend. So I've got my Wealthy Women event next week. Next week? It's this week. It's Friday. I'm very excited for this event, by the way, but it's really snuck up on me. But I went to meet one of the sponsors, and the founder there, albeit not a woman, is still like 7 figures already, moving into the 8 figures. And it was just kind of, the conversations we had was really great confirmation of what I'm going to be sharing with you today, is about the importance of stepping into the identity of who it is that you want to become, rather than moving from the person, the version, the familiar version of you that you currently are. So I'm going to move into the next section, which is all around like the value. Thank you, Faye. Thank you so much for watching live. Hopefully this is going to activate you and start your week with a bit of a bang, because I like to plant seeds. That's the thing, seeds of awareness, because your relationship with money is a continual evolution. Like I say, you could have a really incredible income milestone in your business, but if you haven't acclimatized to that and you haven't allowed that to be your new normal, there's always that temptation that you're going to slip down back to where you were because it's familiar. So one of the ways that you can obviously ensure that this doesn't happen is by really getting intentional about the wealthy woman identity. So when you think about when you think about the wealthiest, most abundant version of you, or when you think about a wealthy woman, what does she look like? What kind of springs to mind? I'd love for you to share this in the comments. For me, for a really long time, when I imagined somebody who was wealthy, it was, super organized, had a shizzle together, really glamorous, really kind of like boss mode all the time. And what I realized when I actually started to do the work was, by me putting this version of me, or a wealthy woman, on a pedestal, I was just creating more and more separation between the version of me now and the version that I wanted to become, because it felt like the impossible dream and just the benchmark that kept on kind of moving further and further away. And I remember reading a really great quote that says, like, the woman, or the man, I think it was the man, but I changed it to the woman, who thinks that they can and the one that thinks that they can't are both right. And it's about how our perception of who we are, our identity, is so powerful in creating our reality, because we will live up to that version of ourselves that we believe that we are, in terms of our potential. We'll take action from that place, we'll make decisions from that place, we will surround ourselves with people that are familiar or at that same level with us. Maybe you've heard the expression, like, birds of a feather flock together, and there's a lot of community in being an underdog, struggling. Lots of people will rally behind you when things are tough, typically, or there's a lot of commonality, like a lot of conversation that you can have on the school run, if you're ready to, or in the morning commute and around the coffee, cooler chats or something, water cooler chats they call it at work, don't they, when you're in a corporate space. Like, as soon as you mention anything to do with the weather, the economy, cost of living, the government, everybody has something to add, and there's a lot of conversation around that. When you start talking about, actually, I'm doing pretty well right now, things are actually looking really positive, suddenly, you're kind of on your own, because people don't necessarily, if they're not in the same place as you, they can be triggered by that. So we need to talk around this. So what will happen is that you'll think, right, okay, I want to get to my next level. And when I get there, I'm going to wake up and I'm Beyonce one morning. Well, the reality is that isn't actually how it happens. It happens in reverse. So what you believe is possible for you is what will actually be the self-fulfilling prophecy. So you're not going to wake up as Beyonce 5 years in the future. You're going to have a very slow and gradual process of becoming that version of you, that Beyonce. Mine's obviously Queen Bee. That's my wealthy woman, is like the wealthiest, most abundant version of me is Beyonce. But equally, there's a version of me along the way that I've already started to embody. So, like I say, when we've got these impossible benchmarks and ideals and versions of ourselves that we believe that we need to live up to in order to be worthy and capable of creating the success that we desire, the reality is you're just pushing that thing further and further away, because you can be a wealthy woman right now just by taking some symbolic steps towards that version of you. So I want to get you thinking, obviously, Monday morning, before you get really busy, before you get really distracted, I want to plant these seeds of awareness for you so that as you're moving through the week, as you're making decisions, as you're deciding where to spend your time and who to spend it with, you can be really mindful of, is this moving me further away from the version that I want to become? Is this like acting in accordance with the wealthiest version of me who already has everything that she wants? So I want you to take a moment today and kind of like put your hand on your heart, connect. Maybe you're somebody like me that does my best thinking when I'm kind of doing other things. I'm not a good, and I think this is because I have ADHD, but I'm not a good person to literally sit and be like, think, other than the fact that I've got a journal. So I journal every morning. That's really powerful for me. But most of my best thinking and downloads comes through when I'm in the shower, when I'm walking out in nature or on the school run, when I'm driving in my car on the way to somewhere, and I allow my mind to wander. That's when I'll start to connect the dots on some of the things that I've been thinking about. And that's my really intentional thinking time. So maybe that's for you. Let me know. Where do you do your best thinking, ladies? Is it in the shower like me? The amount of times that I get out of the shower soaking wet, in like with a towel, thinking I need to write this down. This was amazing. Because something's come through for me, because I'm kind of, there's no resistance there to receiving that download. It's so funny. And I also get a lot of inspiration from my dreams. So let me know as well if you get that too. So what I want you to start thinking about, and just before you fall asleep, yes, I have to really, really manage this right now, especially while I'm pregnant, because it's hard enough to sleep as it is. And I've got so much going on that I have almost had to force myself and listen to things like white noise and hypnosis audios to give my mind something else to think about. Otherwise, so many downloads are coming through right now because I feel really inspired. But when you think about that wealthiest version of you, what does she look like? How does she show up for herself? So for me, admittedly, I've never been somebody that's just kind of like, potted about in jogging bottoms and all of those things, because it's never made me feel good to get to that point. Maybe early, just had a baby. That's probably where I am. But beyond that point, I always like to, take a certain amount of time in the morning to brush my hair and look nice. But admittedly, when I first did this exercise and I thought about like the wealthiest version of me, she was, wearing like designer clothes. She had her hair done every week. She had her eyelashes done, her nails done. And again, when I kind of thought of this like impossible benchmark, the reality is I have 6 children, or I'm pregnant with number 6. I'm never going to be in a place, even if money was complete. I mean, it's an unlimited resource anyway, but even if I was a bajillionaire, am I going to sit and spend hours every morning doing my makeup? No, because it's not something that's ever really interested me, nor am I good at it, nor am I inspired or motivated to learn more about how to do it. My morning makeup routine is exactly the same now, whether when I've been absolutely broke and had no money, and also when I have been, a self-made millionaire. It's exactly the same. I have like 5 things that I put on my face. I can do it in at the traffic lights if I need to. I can do it in 5 minutes flat, and maybe I put on more eyeliner. That is the reality. And when I started to actually lean into that and start to challenge some of the perceptions of what I had as this wealthiest version of me, it really took the pressure off. And it also meant that actually, if a woman like me with so many kids and so many things going on that isn't, wanting to be a glamour model, on the cover of magazines every week, can actually be wealthy, then maybe I can get there sooner. I don't have to wait for this version of me to show up who suddenly is inspired and motivated and like an expert in all things makeup. Now, don't get me wrong, I did also identify some gaps between where I was, because I wasn't giving myself permission. And I've seen this a lot with my clients, especially when they're earning more money. They still aren't giving themselves permission to invest in themselves, whether that be their self-care, whether that's getting their hair done, despite the fact that these things make them feel amazing. They show up with a whole new energy online when they've had a blowout, or they've had their hair done, or their eyelashes done. Like, they want to record, they want to get on camera, they want to do something because they feel amazing and they need people to see that. So that's the point. Like, we can start to intentionally bridge the gap between where we currently are, where we want to go, and what is that middle ground for you right now, and what steps can you be taking this week to move you closer to that. So obviously I've mentioned about appearance and how you show up for yourself, so with your self-care as well. And for me, that looked like just getting my eyelashes done like every couple of weeks. I could commit to that. I could get that done right now. I don't need to wait to be the wealthiest version of me. But by getting that done, that's one step closer to it. And it makes me feel amazing. So I show up with a whole new energy. I show up ready to record, add value, do podcast episodes, do the show. Same with my nails. Like, now that's become my non-negotiable. And yet with small children, it was something that would always be like, oh, when I get time, when I've got the energy, when there's more money, I'll get it done then. And I thought, the reality is I need to start doing those things now. And then that is when the money and everything else will come, because you show up differently. Especially at the beginning of my entrepreneurial journey, I used to go to lots of networking events to try and get my business off the ground, not my coaching business, but my brick and mortar businesses. And the whole different energy shift when I would turn up, when I'd had my hair done, my lashes, my nails. Did I need those things? Absolutely not. But did they make me feel amazing? Yes. So why am I not going to get them done? And, it's not a huge investment, but the energy shift is massive in how I was then showing up to those things. And I love to see people, then kind of shocked and surprised around, like, you've got 4 kids, I think, at times. So you've got 4 kids, you're running multiple businesses, and you still get to spend time on yourself. And I'm like, yes, because this is me acting and making decisions from where I want to go and not from where I currently am, which is the mum that is like, yes, juggling lots of businesses and school runs and small children. So how could we, or how could you, this week, start to identify the gaps between the wealthiest version of you and where you currently are, and then take some symbolic steps towards that version of you, however big or small. And again, this also filters into what I was saying last week about the acclimatizing to your next level. You're not going to suddenly wake up and all your underwear is Gucci, but you could certainly incrementally start to move closer if that's your thing. I don't know. Do Gucci even do underwear? Let me know. I'm sure they probably do. I'm not sure it would be my thing. I'm quite happy with Primark. They're very comfy, especially at this stage of pregnancy. But you might be able to move from Primark to H&M to something else. So what does that look like for you? So that it doesn't feel, it doesn't financially jeopardize you. It doesn't feel like too much of a stretch. So you then feel like you can only wear these things on special occasions, which kind of completely negates the purpose of this exercise. But equally, you're going to feel really amazing when you wear it. So we're going to go through a few categories so that you can start to really, like I say, plant that seed of awareness and start acting in accordance this week. And I love to do this with the women in my mastermind, because obviously that is all about the level up, the evolution, the taking everything to the next level. And typically it isn't strategy that's going to get them there. It is this embodiment and self-permission to show up as their next level self now. And it's always quite interesting what comes up. So first of all, the wealthiest version of you, how does she look and what does she invest in terms of her self-care? And where are you not doing that right now? And therefore able to do some things this week that might move you closer. So it could just be carving out more intentional time in the morning so that you do have time to, if you particularly care about these sorts of things, like do your hair, do your makeup. For me, that is like my sacred time. And bear in mind, I have 5 children to get to 3 different schools in the morning. So I'm not saying this from a place of, I've got nannies and au pairs and things that help me, and that's the thing, that's not going to change, because I love doing the school run and it's part of the things that bring me joy. So the wealthiest version of me is still not going to have an au pair or a childminder that takes these things off my plate, because for me, that's what success looks like to me. So I'm not looking to outsource those activities. I love taking the kids on the school run. I love doing those, having those intentional conversations in the morning. However, I'm going to make sure that when I do it, I show up as my best self. I feel ready and prepared. I feel like I look good and I feel good. So what can I do practically? So therefore, I now carve out like maybe 10 minutes in the morning, 10-15 minutes. Make sure all the kids have got everything they need, so they're not going to drive me mad. They're not going to come and find me, as they always love to do before. And I just do my makeup. I've got a beautiful subliminal audio that I'll listen to, or a really activating morning meditation. So that 10-15 minutes is actually quite sacred. I'll have a cup of tea. This might look completely different to you. Maybe you have more time. So it's things like doing yoga, journaling, beautiful breakfast, sitting outside, having your coffee outside, listening to, again, activating visualizations, morning meditations, doing some journaling, or just a killer playlist in the kitchen that really gets you amped up and ready for your day. It's got to be personal to you and what really activates you. For me, what I find really activating is peace and quiet. And just having that time where nobody can bother me. They've got everything they need. Do not find me. Do not come and seek me out for that time. And that I can get ready and just do my little thing. That to me feels like a wealthy woman move in the morning. And it starts every day with the right energy, the right intention. If there ever any reason that goes sideways and I don't get that time, it throws me out, and I have to come back from the school run and almost like reset my energy, because I'm like, no, that was not it. I am not starting and continuing my day with that energy because it was hectic, or somebody was sick, or I didn't get to do what I would normally get to do. It really throws me out. Exactly. Yeah. It's like these little sacred 5-10 minutes rituals can make all the difference. So what is that for you? When you think also about the wealthiest version of you, what are her goals? Now, this is a big one. So obviously on Friday at my event, I'm going to be leading the women that are attending through this exercise, because I guarantee your goals right now are very much focused on the short term. They're focused on your needs right now. They're focused on possibly what you think is realistic for you, but based on your experience and where you are in your journey. They're going to be based on what you can see as opportunities available to you based on what other people's experiences are, maybe within your industry, or maybe what you think is the next logical step for you. So there's a lot of logic that comes in for us as women when we're thinking about our goals. But I'm sure the wealthiest version of you is not thinking from that place, because the reality is, when you truly become the wealthy woman that I talk about so often, it's not just financially being wealthy. For me, a wealthy woman is about owning her place in this world. It's about creating success on her terms. It's about having so much self-trust that you don't need anybody else to give you permission, to show you what you need to be doing. You have that inner knowing. And even if it doesn't make sense to other people, even if people aren't supporting you, even if it's not been done in your industry, even if it's not the next logical step and it's something that just doesn't even make sense, you own it, because you are the wealthy woman and you don't need permission from anybody else. So I want you to have a think about, like, when you get to that version of you, what do you anticipate your goals will be? Because I guarantee they're much bigger than the ones that you're giving yourself right now. And then maybe that's an opportunity for you to review those goals, rather than thinking beyond your next income month or the next logical step. As I said, what do you actually want to create and achieve in the next 12 months? Like, genuinely, honestly, I'm always talk about having like those goals that if they're not exciting, expansive, or embarrassing, because you don't really want to say it out loud because you feel like, that's not okay for me to say that's too much, then you're not really like setting your goals high enough. So where are your current goals? What are you currently putting your time and energy and focus into creating and manifesting right now? And where would the wealthiest version of you be putting her goals? What would they look like? So typically, I find it's more like the legacy, it's more the wealth, it's the bigger goals, it's having more impact. It could be writing a book, it could be having your own TV show, it could be being featured in publications. Because if we're setting the bar right down here, that's all you're ever going to reach. Because and that's if you even reach it, because sometimes when these goals aren't big enough, they're not compelling enough, they're not exciting enough for us to start to think, act, and behave in different ways, to get out of our comfort zone, to start taking like bold, inspired action. And I just want to circle back actually to what I was saying earlier when I mentioned that I'd met one of the sponsors for the events. Now they've grown within about 18 months, they've grown an e-commerce business to £1 million a month in income. So that's already at like 8 figures, but they want to get their business to the 100 million valuation so that they can then sell it. So they want to get to like, is that 9 figures? 9 zeros, right? And he said, like, quite unapologetically, now obviously this comes from the fact that he had previous business success and that he'd already done some of the work on his mindset. But he was like, when I started this business, I wasn't just going for a 6-figure business. That to me wasn't exciting enough. That wasn't compelling enough to work the long hours, to do the late nights, to deal with the rejection from investors, because he got some investment as well, to deal with people kind of like negative talk around like the market's saturated. He was like, 6 figures for me wasn't going to cut it. I didn't even want to get out of bed at that point. And obviously, depending on where you are with your business journey, that might seem really audacious, where it's like, how ungrateful. 6 figures can't get you out of bed. But the reality is, when you consider the abundance that is available to you in the universe, that really is just a drop in the ocean. So he had to set bigger goals that were for the like 7, 8, and 9-figure business to really feel compelled to take the inspired action, to get out of his own way, to deal with the negative feedback, and deal with, I think, because it's an e-commerce and there's suppliers and things, supply chains, and deal with idiots, essentially, is what I got from reading between the lines, and red tape and all the things. He had to set those bigger goals, or he would not have been as excited to have created that success. So what is that for you? Like, where is the gap right now, and how can we start to be a bit braver, be a bit more audacious, and take up more space in this world? The next thing is around your health. So again, I had this vision of me that was going to be doing yoga every morning, that was going to be drinking like all of these smoothies and detoxing and retreats. And admittedly, up until this point, it hasn't been compelling enough for me to really want to do all of those things. I think having gone through my pregnancy, obviously a little bit later in life, having kind of suffered quite a few health issues, I think this goal is now paramount for me on the other side of the baby, that actually my health will be like a massive priority for me in 2025, because it's really suffered this year. And yet my body's capable of incredible things. And I think I've always been able to rely on the fact that I will find the energy, that I will do the things, that I'm never sick. And these are the conversations that I would tell myself. But going into the new year, I really want to actually start to prioritize that as one of my top goals. So what is that for you? When you think of that wealthiest version of you, how are they investing in their health? How are they showing up for their health? I'm never going to be the woman, let's be honest, that is running miles every morning, mainly because I don't want to. So I'm not going to set the benchmark up there, but there's definitely somewhere in the middle. I can really get behind yoga. I can really get behind Pilates and strength training. I can really get behind up-leveling my diet and, investing in like better quality of sleep, hydration. So I've got a water filter now, which is really incredible. I add supplements to my diets. I've done all sorts of intolerance testing and those sorts of things. Those things I could get behind. Absolutely. So what is that for you? What commitments are you ready to make for your health as the wealthy woman and the wealthiest version of you? The next thing is around boundaries and relationships. So again, this is something that how you do one thing in life is how you do everything. And your relationship with money is symbolic of what you are willing to receive as a woman. That could be love. That could be support, that could be visibility. It's all symbolic and it's all entwined and connected. There is no like, oh, money's over here and I'm a real like wealthy woman financially, but I allow people to treat me like crap. I don't think those two things can be compatible, because in order to become the wealthy woman, you have to stop allowing people to waste your time, waste your energy, detract from your light. You have to demand and take up more space. So what do your boundaries and relationships look like? Maybe this is an opportunity to level up your ideal client. If you're a female founder like me, the clients that you work with, maybe you're realizing that actually the clients that you're currently working with no longer feel expansive or exciting to work with. It's okay to think again and to level up and expect more for yourself and from your clients. The next one is your time and your diary. How are you spending your week as a wealthy woman? So this is hugely interesting for me, because the wealthiest version of me does not hustle. She hasn't got the patience or the energy to do it. And that for me has been like the wealthiest, most abundant moves that I've made this year, is to stop allowing people to be so accessible to me. Because I realized, when I'm like responsive within 2 seconds, when I'm answering client calls all weekend long, not only am I not going to get a break, oh, thank you. And then you're at risk of burnout, and I want to be here for the long haul. That means protecting my peace and my time and my energy, not having to choose between my kids and my clients. Everything kind of works beautifully together. But also, is the wealthiest like 8-figure version of me in my own DMs answering questions like an emergency response? No. Are they allowing clients from a place of gratitude, where it's like, don't get me wrong, you can be grateful for your clients, but there's always more clients. So you don't have to put up with shizzle in the meantime from people that aren't necessarily your ideal client. You can let a few clients go in the knowledge and safety that there'll be more discerning and better clients that are coming along that are more, appreciative of your time and respectful of your time, so aren't going to waste that. That's been a huge thing for me. And again, like my women in my mastermind, we've had to practice this a lot, where it's like not everyone gets to have access to you. And actually we've had to put measures in place at the front end of their business so that they aren't feeling that pressure to be on all the time, available all the time, responsive all of the time. If your business needs that kind of customer service, then it doesn't need to be you. And again, that's part of becoming the wealthy woman. It's starting to allow yourself to lean back and be supported by other people that are going to support your business growth. So time in your diary, maybe you're from a place of guilt, particularly where I've seen women come from like the corporate backgrounds and then have a business. They're running their business like it's still a job, like they don't have a choice, like they don't have freedom and flexibility. I purposely do all of my personal errands when the kids are at school. I'm not chained to my desk. I only work 3 hours a day and I have a very successful business. But that was a gradual process, because when I first came into running my coaching business, I felt this almost like guilt to be busy. I felt like time is money and hustle while they sleep. And if I'm not doing something, I'm missing out on opportunities, when that actually it's better to do less with more intention and more energy behind it, and you'll get a better result anyway. But equally, that was part of my embodiment as a leader for my clients. I had to go first. I can't say to them, you don't need to hustle in order to be wealthy and create money in your business, if I secretly behind the scenes I'm doing that. So again, it all comes from that self-trust. Your investments and finances. So what does the wealthiest version of you look like? Where does she put her money? Where does she put her overflow of prosperity, even if it's just £5 a week. If she's putting it into stocks and shares, you could be starting to do that today. You know, even from £2 a week, there's something that you can do to at least bridge the gap between where you are and where you want to go. How is she running a business? What offers is she creating? How is she showing up? Where is she advertising her services? Her home. So what does her home look like versus yours? If yours is an absolutely chaotic mess with no systems or organization, and you're expecting one day that you're going to wake up and all of this is going to be sorted, the reality is it's not, and you're just pushing that reality further away. So what could we do today? Even if it is just one small symbolic step, by organizing a drawer or a cupboard that drives you mad, it's going to save you so much time and energy in the long run. It's going to make you feel so much more wealthy and empowered, and it's going to make everything flow much better in your home. So for me as a money mentor, I'm continually going to the rubbish dump and clearing out stuff that doesn't serve me anymore, that doesn't work. I don't put up with anything in my home that doesn't have a function. I'm continually looking to downsize and consolidate furniture so it feels more spaciousness, because there would be a real temptation with so many of us here and so many young children as well to just have a chaotic house and just say, well, that's how it is. But I don't accept that that's how it is, and I don't believe that the wealthiest version of me would be their reality either. When you see these beautiful Pinterest homes, they're not covered in chaos and all the things. And then also your spiritual guidance, and connection. So this all comes down to self-trust. So I'm going to leave that with you to have a little think about this week and start to identify some of the gaps. And please do come back to this video and update me and let me know on where you can see, actually, I've been doing these things and this is actually moving me further away or keeping me stuck with where I currently am. It's nowhere near where the wealthiest version of me would be behaving and acting. And then I'm now going to move on to our hot seat coaching question. So every week over on my Instagram, so you can come and find me over on there, I always ask the women, or, tap into my community and ask them, what is a question that relates to money, making money, managing money, multiplying your money, feeling good about money, all the things. And this is the question that came back for me this week. So it came back from a lady who has essentially a service-based business. And she said, I never know what to price my offers. I never know where to pitch it. Don't know how to price it. Can you help? So what I would say when it comes to pricing, things not to do is to look at what other people are charging for similar services. It's to pitch it at a place where you think people are most likely, what you think people will pay, and instead focus on what is the value that I bring to the table. And this could be your transferable skills from corporate, previous lifetimes and backgrounds, or your journey to date. How much time and energy and money have you put into your own investment, into honing your craft, mastering your craft, hours spent, time, and energy learning the things that you can help your clients with. What's the value of that? And then ultimately, what is the value to your clients for the transformation that you can create? Because there is a market for everybody, but you don't have to be for everybody. So if you want to work with one particular client at one particular point in their journey, who is available to invest at one particular point, that is absolutely fine. There's more than enough clients for you at this stage. And there's also, whenever you elevate your prices, that means that you're creating space for the people that are coming up behind you. So there'll be people at the very beginning of their journey that will just be grateful for a client and for some social proof and testimonials and an opportunity to hone their craft. If you've done that time and you're like, no, I'm ready to move on, then it's okay to create space for those people and start to level up where you're meeting people at in their journey. Because here's the thing, trainers are trainers, but you can buy your trainers in Primark or you can buy your trainers at Gucci, and there'll be a market for each end of the spectrum. That's the reality. And the only person that is going to decide is Primark and Gucci, what their prices are. And then it's for you as the consumer or the client to decide, where do I want to spend my money? What feels like a good exchange of value? Because that's all it is. Your pricing is not a reflection of your worth. It's not a reflection of your value. It's just a reflection of the exchange of value. So again, nobody can afford you, baby girl. You're priceless. Like let's just say that no one can afford you. But what is the transformation that you create for your clients, and what is the value of that for them? So sometimes, if you're a coach, if you're a service provider, I know you can really end up getting into your head and thinking like, oh, will someone really pay me the money that I desire for what it is that I want to create? Absolutely. If you can get behind that price and you know that it's good value and that they would be mad not to work with you at that price point, then they will absolutely pay it. And if you speak with that authority or that conviction, that confidence, that clarity, then absolutely, because that's ultimately what people are investing in. I've invested multi-five figures into coaches because their trust transfers. So their confidence in their ability to help me to achieve an outcome or a goal is what I've ultimately invested into. Yes, they might have had testimonials and social proof, but I didn't need to see any of that. It was just the fact that, like, wow, this guy is like really, really confident. And actually, I feel confident having had that conversation with him that I can then get that result. And typically that's what happens. If somebody comes back to you and says, can't really afford that right now, this is why you need a stackable offer suite, which I can talk about at another time if you would like me to, so that you've always got a downsell. If somebody's not ready to invest at that point, you don't lower the price. You just offer them a different solution, either at a lower price, and then equally you can offer them an upsell and allow the people that can pay more to pay more, but have a more premium service. Because if people choose not to, that's not a reflection of you. That is a reflection of their trust in themselves to get an ROI on that investment. And I've had that before where clients have almost like lent on me to try and, give a discount or any of those sorts of things. And I've held firm, and then they've come back and paid and wanted the upsell, because actually what they were looking for was just, they were kind of testing my confidence in them to get the desired result or outcome. And obviously, 1111 ladies, tell me you have ADHD without telling me you have ADHD. Make a wish. It is a very important time in angel numbers right now. This is a very powerful moment. Oh, I love that my show is going to be over the 1111 time frame every week. So yes, so find, sit with yourself, factor in all of the things that I've mentioned, find a price that feels good, that you can really get behind and sell with confidence, and then put it out there, essentially. And if you really do believe in that price point, you'll find clients that believe in it too. All you need is one or two people to purchase at that price point, and then you can continue to up level from there. My first round of coaching services were like £300 or something for like 6 weeks. It was only when I sold 10 in a day that I was like, oh, maybe I did not charge enough for that. Now it's 5 figures to work with me on a one-to-one basis, but it's been a gradual process of upskilling myself, making myself more marketable, and also increasing my own self-belief and the results and testimonials for my clients to then feel comfortable about the next level price increase. So thank you so much for joining me today for today's episode of the Wealthy Woman Show. I hope you've had lots of little takeaways and aha moments. I'd love to know what those are in the comments. So obviously, don't forget to join me next week, because I have my Wealthy Woman event on Friday, and I cannot wait to share with you all of the behind the scenes, the insights, the learnings from the speakers, because I have an incredible lineup of female founders who are going to be talking about how to uplevel your health, wealth, and your business success. So I'll be taking lots away. I really believe in collaboration of women. So I can't wait. Yeah, I can't wait to see what I can bring back to you next week. But also, if you're interested in the strategic element behind the scenes of actually planning an event of that size, let me know. And then also I'll be answering more questions. So come and find me on Instagram if you have something burning that you want to talk about. I'll make sure that I address it in next week's episode. And then also, if you are doing Black Friday deals this Friday, just one little takeaway that I want to share with you is, obviously it's not about discounting your prices, because those that pay attention, and the transaction is in the investment. So if you feel tempted right now to cut all your services and offer bargain discount prices, be aware of the clients that you will be attracting at that level. Do you want bargain basement discount clients? Probably not, that are going to come with that mindset that only want to work with you because you're cheap. Instead, I would love to encourage you to add more value to the current offers that you've already got and make that the incentive that provides the urgency, or lean into scarcity marketing, where maybe you like reduce the amounts of spots available so that you can go and get that money, honey ladies, and step into your wealthy woman this week. And thank you so much for joining me.